You've reached Conversation with Mr. A. This is your host, Anthony Apostilla. Thank you for listening. Let's get right to the episode. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Mr. A. It's definitely been a while. This is your host, Anthony Apostilla, and today I'm with my best friend of, 30 plus years, Dustin Johnson. Dustin, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, man. I cannot wait to do this right here. It's been a little while since we've seen each other, so let's have a good conversation, man.
Absolutely. So I'm going to focus this episode today on being a DJ. And so for our listeners out there, can you tell our listeners what does being a DJ entail? What exactly do you do as being a DJ?
In my opinion, being a DJ is a whole other job. Don't get me wrong. I work at the shipyard, 80 plus hours every 2 weeks, but the DJ life is a whole other job. What does it entail? It entails marketing yourself. It entails meeting with clients. It entails negotiations with your clients. Whether it's a party, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a corporate event, there's always some sort of negotiation to see if they can get the best price. There's also the music. In my opinion, I think the music is like the heart of a DJ. Your collection has to be tailored to all generations, all sorts of moments, all sorts of occasions, besides obviously the equipment itself. A good DJ would definitely work on his music collection. That way he's ready to support anything that he does in his daily life, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a house party, whether it's a corporate event, whether it's a school dance. He's always on the lookout, in my opinion, for new music, for music that he's never had before, because, every year music evolves, so you're always going to have to be on the up and up on current hits, so that, in my opinion, is like the DJ himself. That is what that is what a DJ entails, the work, the music, the equipment. Plus you got to have energy as a DJ. If you don't have energy, in my opinion, the people will know that you don't have that kind of energy. And the kind of energy you have will also reflect on the people that want to dance and have a good time. So you got to have good energy all the time, because you're the person who sets the tempo. You're the person who sets the pace when it comes to any sort of occasion or event. It's almost like you're that backbone, to those events right there. So that's me as a DJ right there. You always have to have those big things right there.
So being a DJ means much more than just being in the background and playing music for the event. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Like I said, it's a job. Anytime I'm with a client, I'm always asking them to give me a timeline. Give me every single event that you want me to do. Not only am I a DJ, I'm also an MC. So I'm almost like the host of the whole event. Of course, in your typical wedding, you're going to have the officiant. He's going to be doing the ceremony, but then once the ceremony is done, it is now the DJ's job. If he's even paired with a wedding coordinator, they're always going to be working together. But the DJ himself is the one who's going to be setting the pace and the flow for any event. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah, man, like I said, it's just much more than just pressing play, on your laptop and letting music go, man. You got to have the right music. You got to have the right kind of attitude. You also got to give the power to the people, too, in my opinion. A lot of DJs that I see now these days, they don't even let people request songs. And that, in my opinion, is going to be their downfall. For me as a DJ, if I don't have a song that they want to listen to, I will get it for them. That's why I give the power to the people as well. Now, do a lot of people dig my collection when I play it? Yeah, because I already know a lot of what people love to listen to when it comes to weddings, events, holiday parties, anything like that. They got those common core sort of tunes that a DJ will play. But like I said, it all really depends on the people too. It really depends on the generation that you're going to be catering to. Sometimes, even though it's not my favorite music, sometimes I'll be DJing a wedding that loves just country. So I have to cater to that. I'll be, DJing a wedding or an event, or a party that loves like just rock and roll, like classic rock. I'll be catering to them. So a DJ's got to be a versatile person when it comes to all sorts of music, because that's who your clientele is. Whoever the generation is, that's the kind of music that they want to listen to, so you don't all of a sudden are going to be the stickler and it's going to be, this is my music that I'm going to play. That's it. No, man. No. That, in my opinion, is a way that a DJ is going to lose clients, So that's why, for me, I'm starting to become a little bit more popular as a DJ now because of the fact of what I do, the energy that I put out, and the type of music that I play for all generations.
Awesome. Now, Dustin, how long have you been a DJ, and how exactly did you get into it in the first place?
Well, it's funny that you say that. My Facebook memory told me 10 years ago I played my very, very first gig, But prior to my very first wedding gig with my own equipment, it's actually your fault.
Me? What'd I do?
What did you do? 2 years prior to me actually committing to be a DJ, all of a sudden, you asked me, hey, I know you know music, and I was wondering if you can DJ my West Sound Counselors Association social night at SeaTac Doubletree 2 years prior to me actually committing myself to being a DJ. And I said, I'll try, So I knew a DJ friend who did a lot of DJing at the Silverdale Beach Hotel. When it was the Silverdale Beach Hotel, now it's the Best Western. But when I was working there, I knew a DJ there. And so I asked him, hey, do you got equipment that you can maybe rent out to me? He said, yeah, I do. So the day of your event or the day before your event, I met him in Tacoma all the time at a Target in Tacoma, right off of I-5, or right off of Route 16. And he gave me the equipment. It was 2 speakers, it was a mixer, and it was some wires. And that's all I had at the time was 2 speakers, a mixer, some wires, and my laptop. I didn't even have what DJs have now these days, like what they call DJ controllers, with jog wheels and equalizers and whatnot. That's all I had. I literally had to use my mouse to transition from song to song to song to song. Oh, and he also provided me with a microphone too. So for 2 straight years, I did that. And then in around 2011, all of a sudden, around 2012, all of a sudden I made that commitment to getting my own equipment. So that's how it all really began. It all really began because you wanted me to DJ your social events, for the West Sound Counselors Association and SeaTac for at least 2 straight years. And then after that, that was it. I never heard from them after that. 3 straight years. 3 straight. Because I remember the first 2 years of the Doubletree, because I also added magic to the whole routine too. And then that last time I did it when we went to the Hilton, right on International Drive. And that was the very last time I did DJing for your social events. So after that, I decided, you know what, I'm going to buy my own equipment. So one of our local musicians here, Malo Castro, he actually sold me my very first speaker. And so I bought a stand, I bought a table, I bought my own mixer, I bought a microphone. And my Facebook memory from almost 10 years ago shows my mixer, my microphone, and my one speaker that I had for my very first wedding, from a shipyard friend. Unfortunately, they're not together anymore, but that is what it is. So that's how I got into the whole thing.
And I gotta say, you did a great job with all those events, and I know you've done many more. And one of my questions I'm wondering is, what were some of the rewards and challenges of being a DJ?
So rewards was getting my name out there as a DJ. I'm not the biggest social media marketing person when it comes to that. I should be better at that. I'm not the biggest person that has a website or anything like that. I should be better at that. It'd probably be easier to market myself, but me, I'm old school. I was word of mouth. Since I worked at the shipyard, my very first wedding turned into like 10, 12, 14 more weddings down the road. Just because of the fact that I DJ'd this person's wedding, and all of a sudden they knew friends that were getting married. Oh, I recommend this guy, and I recommend. So it's like a big domino effect, So, what was that question again?
Oh, just some of the rewards and the challenges.
Rewards. So rewards is just getting my name out. Now I'm a little bit well known in Kitsap County, and I'm also now well known in social media because of the fact that people are putting my name and tagging my name. And the minute I get tagged is the minute that I'll be like, I'll introduce myself to the client, or potential client at that point in time. Challenges was definitely the start of equipment. Like I said, it was a challenge being a DJ with only one speaker, a mixer, and a laptop, no controller. So then I started taking advice from a couple of DJ friends that I knew. They said, why don't you just buy another speaker? That's what I did. Why don't you buy a bigger mixer? That's what I did. Why don't you actually buy a DJ controller? And that's what I did. I did a lot of research on my very first DJ controller. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the DDJ SB2. And that's a little bit old school, a little bit small or whatnot, but I got it. My parents got it for me for Christmas. I did all my research on it. I started practicing, making my transitions in music. Challenges also is knowing what music you have to play. Also, it is still a challenge, but I kind of got it down to a science now. So I know what the crowd likes, because one of my very first things I ask my clients is, what does your crowd like? And then from there, that's where I build my playlist. But still, it's always a challenge because you never know. You might be hot one day and all of a sudden your next event, all of a sudden the people are just not liking it, period, And you'll know because of the music that you're playing. So rewards, like I said, getting my name out, being well known, establishing myself in the community as a DJ. Challenges is always going to be music, The challenge is also going to be technology evolving all the time. A DJ, in my opinion, every 5 to 7 years has to replenish their equipment, because of new technology is out, new equipment that's out, or your equipment is just starting to get burnt out, And that's why, in the next year or so, I'm going to be probably replenishing some lights. I'm going to be probably replenishing my DJ controller. And plus, I'm also going to be getting a new laptop because the laptop I have right now, slow as molasses. But, again, it still does the job. So there you go.
Awesome. Now, last year, I worked for the Chimacum School District, and I know there's a lot of listeners from Chimacum, whether they're students, staff, community members that may listen to this podcast. So you DJ'd a few of their dances. You did their homecoming, winter dance, and you did the senior prom. How's the experience at Chimacum?
So it wasn't my first rodeo when it came to school dances. I've done a couple of school dances prior to that. I did Peninsula Middle School's like last dance of the year, as they're going into high school or whatnot. I did a couple of school events, but at Chimacum, it was great because I've never done a high school dance before. The kids were energetic. They were nice. They requested songs, and I literally told them, hey, it's still a high school dance. I'm not going to be playing anything that, is pretty lewd or crude or whatnot, per the administration. But the energy was there. Homecoming was great, because the first time that they ever saw a DJ, I've heard of the stories of what they actually had as a DJ, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to put this together like no other. So I went all out. And I think they appreciated it, and then the energy was there. Like I said, they loved what I played. I played what they wanted me to play, and it was good. Winter dance, a little slow, to be honest with you. It was good at first, but then, again, we didn't know exactly how many students was actually going to be there. And prom was good, but it's still, prom, they danced, they went out, they danced, and that was it, So I have to say it was good. It was good for my first high school dance. I'm always apt to doing them anymore.
Right on. Now, if anyone actually wanted to start being a DJ, what piece of advice would you give them?
This is my piece of advice for anybody who wants to start DJing. And again, this is my advice. Everybody's going to have their own sort of style of advice. My advice is learn the basics. Learn, get beginner equipment. You don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars on all this equipment that you know nothing about. Get yourself a very good set of speakers, that is not so overwhelming. Get yourself a good mixer that's not so overwhelming. Get yourself a very beginning DJ controller that has the software. I also, when it comes to software, would recommend get the full software. Just don't get this sort of beta software. Get the full software so you can get the full experience. Start off with just that as a DJ. Also, practice. I remember living in apartments and I would DJ all the time just to practice so I can make smooth transitions when it comes to my music. Do your research on YouTube. Has so many good DJs that give the best sort of techniques, tips, tricks, and they all actually do it hands-on for you too. They're very detailed oriented, I have to say. Start off in the basics. Then, from there, market yourself. If you want to really kind of make this a lifestyle that will actually make you money in the future, market yourself. Know the people, go to wedding expos, go to all the social media groups, the technology's in our hands now these days. You can find so many groups that are always going to ask about DJs, and people will recommend them. But if you know that you're true to what you want to do, you can definitely market yourself. And that's the way I've been doing it for the last 10 years, was just market myself, So learn the basics. Then from there, progress to what you really want out of being a DJ. Do you want lights? Do you want a show? Do you want stuff that for a fact will get the party pumping? Definitely progress to that, but still, don't get it until you've really known your equipment, your basic equipment first. That's my advice to anybody who wants to be a DJ.
Awesome. Now, one of the advantages I have being your best friend for more than 30 years is, I know you really well. And one thing that I know, you lived in Vegas for 7 years. You got exposed to a lot of DJs, a lot of clubs, part of just, watching the DJs at work. Just briefly digressing from our main topic, you're in Vegas for 7 years and you saw this stuff. How was the experience like over there in Vegas?
The experience was awesome. You should know you went to the clubs with me too while you were in Vegas.
Yeah, I did. I did. Just a few.
Studio 54, man. But the DJ scene from 2000 to 2007, that's when I was there. It's so much different than the DJ scene now these days. Back then, they were still using CDs. They were still using vinyl. They were being sort of like the purist DJs, A lot of my influence on music that I like now these days comes from those Vegas DJs. Like, a couple of my influences, Tiesto, Paul Oakenfold, they're, I have to say, the godfathers of digital or electronic music. Other DJs that came around after that, Armin van Buuren, Cascade, all of these DJs right here, they were always in Vegas, they were always able to see. Luckily, I wasn't in Vegas when I saw it, but I got to see one of my heroes. His name is Tiesto. He's actually, again, the godfather of electronic music. This guy is almost in his 60s, and he's still playing the big festivals now, almost in the 60s. He's like 57 years old and still rocking out as a DJ, so there you go, guys. It doesn't matter what age you are. Okay, I started in my 30s, but still, it doesn't matter. Okay, but the scene in Vegas was pretty energetic, I have to say. Again, Studio 54, when you and I were there, it was a lot of just 70s music, but they got into the electronic music more towards the end of the night or whatnot. But anytime an electronic DJ came, I definitely would want to go. Never did, but I would definitely, if I was able to, go back in time, I would definitely go to those concerts. Now these days, man, Vegas, now they have a whole festival, 4 days, called Electronic Daisy Carnival. And that's where all the big name DJs come. And a lot of the big name DJs, also do residencies there. Like, for any of you guys who watch Jersey Shore, DJ Pauly D. He's always a resident DJ at the Marquis Hotel or at the Palms, Tiesto, Cascade, Armin van Buuren, Martin Garrix, all of those electronic DJs. They always usually come during like New Year's. That's when all the big DJs come during New Year's, do big New Year's parties. But back then, the scene was very, very much different to what it is now. I mean, DJing now has come so mainstream that, I mean, you got festival after festival after festival, and these people just go all the time. So a little bit smaller back then. It was more just clubs, but now it's just turned into this big production, with hundreds of thousands of people just watching a guy on stage with 4 jog wheels just turning up the music for them.
Wow. Well, we're almost at the end of the interview, and so getting there, my favorite part is called the word association. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a word or two, maybe 3, and just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. So our listeners know, especially those from Chimacum, that the running gag joke last year was pickles. I really, really despise pickles. I hate them. I think they're gross or disgusting. So let's just use that for the first word is pickles.
Blasphemy.
Okay. Video games.
Amazing.
Hygiene.
It's a must.
Okay. John Wick series.
My favorite movies of all time.
Manners.
Yes, you must have them.
Cobra Kai.
Never dies.
Top Gun.
Always a hit in my opinion.
Mission Impossible.
One of my favorite movies now.
Sports cars.
Oh, trust me, if I had money, I would have 4 of them.
Okay. Rap music.
I'm more of old school rap. Some new school rap is good, but it's very much boring because they talk about the same thing over and over and over again. Some of my influences of rap were definitely the Sugar Hill Gang back in the 70s and 80s, Beastie Boys, Run DMC. I know it's just word association, but I'm just going to tell you right now who's influenced me. It's funny that you say Vanilla Ice actually influenced me as a kid. MC Hammer, but then you get into like Puff Daddy and Biggie. I actually love their music. Snoop Dogg, legend. Dr. Dre, legend. And I have to say, the only other legendary rapper, in my opinion, before things just got super weird, Eminem. Always going to be one of my big favorites, because all of their stuff is real. A lot of these other rappers now these days, it's my opinion, they're just repeating the same thing over and over and over again, whether it's money, women, sex, cars, drugs. Don't get me wrong, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre did it, but again, they were the pioneers. They're the reasons why these other rappers exist, in my opinion. So, there you
go. Country music.
No.
80s.
Yes.
Romantic movies.
I'm a sucker for them.
How about horror/gore movies?
So when it comes to horror/gore, I am very much old school when it comes to horror/gore. Freddy, Jason, Chucky, those are, I have to say, the Halloween series. Those are like the baseline for all the other ones. Do I watch them now these days? Probably not, because my wife doesn't like horror movies. She likes more suspense movies, and for some reason, she actually likes the Saw movies. And we love the Saw movies because it's more like a psychological thriller with gore in it, but it's more psychological than it is horror based. So there you go.
Okay. Now I'm going back to the DJ business for you. So if people were actually interested in booking you for their event, where can they find you?
So I'm very old school, and I'm cool with that. So my number is 702-461-4169. Okay, I take text messages. My email, DustinJohnson0426 at gmail.com. I do have a Facebook. It is under what they call Magical Entertainment. It is in the works still, probably for like the last 5 years, but you can see pictures, and you can also see some video of me DJing. All right, but again, if you want to book me, there you go, guys.
Awesome. And then finally, any final words that you'd like to tell our listeners?
Final words, just in general. Live your life one day at a time. Okay. Again, just like word association, manners. I think, in my opinion, it's a lost sort of art, manners now these days. Without manners, who are you really? Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot do anything. If you can do it, if you can dream it, you can do it. You can put your mind, you can do anything if you just put your mind to it, That's why I say, there's nothing is impossible, okay? Just remember that, okay? And remember this, guys, the good Lord always has your back.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the time, bro. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night.
And that concludes this edition of Conversations with Mr. A's, featuring Dustin Johnson, titled Being a DJ. So, Dustin and I, actually, we've been best friends since 1986. And we only focused on one section, which is being a DJ. Focused on that. There's many more topics with Dustin we can cover in future episodes. But for this one, I thought it'd be kind of fun. He did some DJing for students in Chimacum. He still does DJing today for students in general, parties, weddings, a whole variety of things. And so I thought he really gave some good perspectives of being a DJ. And so anyways, just want to thank you for listening to the episode. I'll be shooting out some more episodes in the near future. So thanks and have a good one.